Welcome to Denver Theory Lab.
Denver Theory Lab? Okay.
Denver Theory Lab. Let's do it.
Welcome to Denver Theory Lab. This is Jesse.
And I'm Kyle.
Where we aim to investigate and explore theoretical and practical ideas, conspiracies, events, and practices from an objective point of view to expand our range of thinking. To support us, you guys can make donations to Denver Theory Lab on PayPal at Denver Theory Lab, and you can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at denvertheorylab@gmail.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or suggestions.
Well, we're sitting here at Karma House and want to definitely thank Karma House for letting us be here and host this event here. And want to throw out here in the beginning that any of the views expressed here on the podcast do not reflect the views of Karma House. Only the individuals stating the views.
Okay, we are back. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Kyle.
Denver Theory Lab. We have Taylor on the mic now. Something to do with AI and what now?
Mushrooms?
Yeah, mushrooms and quantum computing and world peace.
Are we talking about psychedelic mushrooms?
We're talking about various mushrooms, but psychedelic mushrooms do play a key role in this.
Okay. Tell me more. I'm intrigued.
Right.
How does the fungus and the AI work together?
So it's kind of like a tripod, okay, to explain this. There's three legs, so let's go over those pieces first. What do you guys know about quantum computing?
Practically nothing.
Yeah, I pretty much know that the quantum computer is supposed to be like the top level computer,
Quants
right?
instead of bits.
Yeah, qubits instead of bits.
Right.
So they can be both things at one time, and the math is wild. I mean, things that a regular computer doing all the zeros and ones to do its calculation would take 100,000 years to do, these computers can do in a couple of minutes, if that.
Didn't they? Wasn't there something out recently where a quantum computer proved the multiverse or something like that? Wasn't there some article?
Ooh, I have not seen that one. That sounds fascinating.
But I think it was based on because of its computing power, because of how fast it could compute. It proved that it's computing in more places than just where we can see.
Oh yes. So actually, I know exactly what you're talking about. So the how fast it did it would have only been possible if these qubits were going in and out and using energy that was outside of our dimension as well. So when they're coming in and out of existence, the only way it could have done that math is if it was using more qubits than it had, and the explanation is that it had to be from another plane of existence, dimension, universe, whatever you want to call it.
Basically proves quantum entanglement, doesn't it?
Well, so we've already proven quantum entanglement quite significantly.
But even further somehow that the amount of energy that it used, it wasn't all present, at least.
Correct. And so it's the interesting thing is that they're saying that it shows that the quantum entanglement can go past our dimension or reality. I would have to take a deeper look at that because I think that it could have quantum entangled with something on the other side of the universe and used that power. It doesn't, in my eyes, have to be different dimensions. But if the people that are writing this are the same people that designed this thing, they probably would have done the math to kind of look at the differences. So I find that very fascinating. And that just shows how kind of like little we understand about quantum computing and the whole quantum realm, but also the level of possibilities. It's unbelievable. But quantum computing, one of the fears with quantum computing is that once we have quantum computing, because it'll be so massively beyond the scale of our current computing ability, that it'll instantly be able to hack anything on the planet. And so we're trying to figure out ways that things won't be hacked. However, with quantum entanglement, so there's a few different routes that quantum computers would be able to talk to each other. The best route would be quantum entanglement because we're already using it in order to do this type of stuff. And that makes it so that if you're on a computer and I'm on a computer, and I send you an email, right? We are entangled. No one can hack that because it's entangled, right? So it's like at the particle level, it is tied.
So the email essentially wouldn't be sent the minute you do something; it automatically changes on the other end. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
And that makes it not hackable. Now the fear is that these computers would be able to hack anything else, which is a sufficient fear. It's reasonable, for sure. But with our current theories, if we're using the entanglement method, then these quantum computers are unhackable, right? Because how can you hack something that is tied with this invisible force? There's not like a thread to tap into like current internet. You can literally stick something in the ground and link into the internet. You don't even need to just try to hack the computer software. You can actually do it at the internet base. This is a whole different way to communicate and connect between people.
Well, I would think that, you know, if we could make something that's just as a metaphor, a really secure lock, then somewhere out there's also a really sophisticated locksmith who can get in.
I think that's fair. And I think that eventually they might be hackable. But I think as it currently stands, they're so beyond our capabilities that if we're using the entanglement method, we're so far from the physics that could allow us to hack that. Because then we're hacking physics.
Okay.
Right. So it's a totally different type of hack because you're trying to hack the entanglement so that you can be part of this entanglement, so that you also get entangled, which is far beyond what we can understand right now.
Yeah, wouldn't the concept include that the other two entities would already know that you're there because it's of quantum entanglement?
Correct.
So it wouldn't be undetectable, but you would be invasive somehow.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I don't understand the quantum entanglement fully, but to have these, two devices that are quantumly entangled. If I'm talking to you on a quantum computer and you're talking to me on one, how do they become entangled? Do they have to be created as a pair?
Oh, that's very interesting. So no, they don't have to be as a pair. So we've already run tests. We've known about quantum entanglement for a very long time. I say very long in the realm of my age, a very long time. But we've seen quantum entanglement. We've actually been able to reproduce it at the particle level. And essentially, it's like if this electron is positive, then we know that the other one's going to be positive because it's entangled. Or on a larger scale, if I flip this coin and it's heads, yours is heads for sure.
So how do they create it though?
Yeah, like give me a layman's term explanation of how could two computers be entangled?
How can they intentionally create a quantum entanglement?
So currently because quantum computers are still being worked out, right? We're very close to them, but we're not quite there. We have some, but only like the uber wealthy large companies, Google's Willow, and I think Elon's got one as well. But these, on our personal computer level, we're not there with the math yet. And those ones that we have at scale right now, those are not trying to entangle with each other. They're not trying to communicate. They're just running math and doing systems like that. Like, okay, run all these simulations. Tell me what the outcome's going to be, what the right path is, right? So it's partly theoretical at this point, but one of the things that I've seen recently is them talking about kind of setting up a sort of resonant frequency between the two, so that you get this thing going off at this certain vibration, and that will connect it. That'll put it in a state that allows it to quantum entangle with this other one, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how much we talk about sound theory and resonance, and
The right
we
frequency.
just got done on our last episode talking about how 110 hertz is the frequency that a man could sing in a temple and put him more in tune with the next reality or the higher consciousness.
To change your actual brain function in that moment. It deactivates one side of the brain and activates another. Just that frequency, and these ancient temples seem to be designed that way. So as you're
It's
talking
really
about
interesting that it boils over into mechanical side as well.
and that our high technology, quantum entanglement, quantum computers is once again looking at frequency. That's really interesting. But so far we only got one leg of the tripod still, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to our knowledge, unhackable communication, right?
Okay.
And computational power beyond our wildest dreams. Now, I don't know if tripod's the right thing. It might be more like a chair. I think there might be 4 legs here. But then we've got, kind of on a similar boat, we have AI, right? And so AI is growing exponentially. Just like technology has been growing exponentially for a while, we've reached a whole new level with AI. And a lot of people are fearful of AI, and for decent reason. If it gets far enough advanced, we're talking about it already, is putting them in charge of our warfare capabilities and things like that. So there's some concerns there. And the AI side, if the AI is hackable, right? Let's say that we do put AI in charge. Let's say we put them in charge of the government, right? As a whole. Well, if it's hackable, then that could be a big problem, because any country that wants to come after us can just wipe out whatever the government is controlling. Now, that's a pretty extreme example, but I think it kind of points out how a hackable AI is very concerning, while there is talk of quantum AIs. Now, quantum AIs would have kind of those same quantum computational aspects of not really being hackable to our current understanding or theories. And that's really pivotal, right? Now, if we, and AIs let us do a ton of other stuff. It's a tool, it's a resource. It's just like the internet or a computer. It gives us access to so much information being translated to a kind of simplified, like layman's terms to us. So it's a very powerful tool. And with the quantum capabilities, it'll be a far more powerful tool. But the unhackability would be pivotal for it to really be a positive force and not be easily manipulated to be a negative force. So I would call that one leg. So yeah, that is a tripod. So that's one leg. And Does that leg make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and just to expand on the quantum computing a little bit, to give myself a little bit more understanding, I asked ChatGPT to tell me how quantum computing uses frequency, and the explanation I was given of most modern quantum computers, like Google's and IBM's, use superconducting qubits. These are essentially tiny circuits that behave like artificial atoms. Each qubit has specific resonant frequencies similar to musical notes where it responds strongly. Microwave pulses at these frequencies are used to flip qubits between states of 0 and 1, or to put them in superpositions. So maybe you can tell me this. Essentially, with a regular computer, is it just using electricity to change through zeros and ones? Because I know on a basic level, a computer is nothing but zeros and ones. And this quantum computer is using frequency to switch these qubits to 0 to 1. So it's using...
Well, it's still using power for sure, but in a different way.
Right, to set off a resonant frequency that each qubit has to thus give it that quantum entanglement. Still, I don't know, that was fascinating to me just because of what we had been talking about recently of now this.
How many positions does a qubit have? Because binary bit has 2 positions.
Yeah, it's
on
0
and off, right?
or 1.
So how many positions does a qubit have?
So qubits, it's that superposition piece.
Is 4 times 4 or 4 to the 4th power, or I forget.
So it can be both 0 and 1 at the same time. So it's exponentially larger because every single 0 and 1 can be both at the same time. And so each one compounds it just like compound interest. You add 1 decimal point, or any type of compounding, 1 decimal point is huge for compounding.
What does it mean to put them in superpositions?
It's to put them in a position where they can, let's say we're doing a math problem. I think this is the easiest way to describe quantum computers, where a computer, in order to get to the answer, right, it's running different options until it finds the right answer. And it's doing that via putting out on its dots 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. And so it's just doing that a ton of times until it's done it enough to say, this is the right answer, right? Well, with superposition, it can be both the 0 and the 1 at the same time, right? So if we look at
does that mean it's considering the option of this is 1, 0 and this is 0, 1 at the same time? It's just considering the option that fast?
Yes.
Is that what you mean when you say it can? Because it's hard for me to wrap my mind around this idea that it can be both at the same time. So,
yeah. And I can understand that. But it's, I guess, a pretty simple way of looking at it is that it is doing the math of if they were both the same.
It's like a 6th or 7th dimensional computer, because it can see the possibilities of either future.
As it's getting into it. I mean, some examples is like if you saw that Willow article about the different dimensions, then you've probably seen an article or 2 about them running calculations that would take hundreds of thousands of years,
right,
if not longer, for a normal computer, and then just doing it in a minute or less. It's crazy, the computational capabilities of these things. Any other questions on that leg of the tripod?
No, sorry, and I didn't mean that to derail you there.
Ready to chomp on the bit for the next leg.
Yeah.
How do mushrooms come into play?
Okay, so the mushrooms.
The mycology.
So mushrooms. So mycology. If we take a look at mushrooms, what are some of the benefits that you guys would say from any type of mushrooms?
Functional mushrooms I take every day. They help with my computations in my brain. I mean, I don't specifically know on a molecular level how it does that, but it definitely increases the efficiency of the electricity in my brain.
Okay. Would you say
I would-
how fast you are with stuff, or how?
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Or just clears the fog, makes it
That
streamlined.
as well, and it allows my cognition to be higher because I can use different pre-learned abilities and apply them more quickly, I think I would say. And probably both the left and the right side of my brain are working
Okay.
at the same time. And I've done psychedelics too before, and those types of mushrooms have opened my mind to different possibilities that I was somehow just built to believe there was a box, and somehow broke free of that.
I can agree with that.
It is allowed me to release some emotional problems that I've had in my past. Instead of hoarding all of those feelings, I was allowed to release them all of a sudden. There's so much positive to mushrooms that I could talk about, that it's hard to talk about anything bad.
I know, right? And understandable, because I totally agree. They are more closely related to us than to plants, which is really fascinating. But the way that we can have kind of the symbiotic nature with a lot of mushrooms is really fascinating.
Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So like you were saying, I mean, different mushrooms make you feel different things, right? Some are better for memory. Some are better for cognition. Some are better for brain fog. A lot of them help build new connections or pathways, or make those pathways run more efficiently. Like you were saying, helps me tap into things, right, that were in the past and help me in this scenario. So it really builds a network. So it builds a better network. It improves on the network that's there, and then helps build new pathways. So it helps build a better network within you. And certain mushrooms can help with, off of the studies that we're seeing, and they're still early days on a lot of these. But if we look at Reiki and turkey tail, right, help with immune system, potentially help with aging,
The PTSD for the psilocybin.
Yeah. PTSD with psilocybin, the cognition with lion's mane. But I mean, it helps us get through even pathogens that we might be running into with, helping build our immune system and stuff. So various different ones can help us in different ways, but it's that growth and that improvement on what we already are with the assistance or symbiotic relationship kind of that we have with mushrooms. And there's so many different benefits to them, but we can all agree that they have massive benefits, and in different regards.
But how do you tie that to the quantum computer, though? Is it just take mushrooms and use your quantum computer?
Man, the answers that might come out of that, I can only imagine. You'll really be exploring the universe if you did that. That's not what I'm referring to.
Might just get lost in the screen.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. It'll take control. It is your new master now. So with mushrooms in Japan for the past couple of years, so we've got a number of concerns with AIs and quantum computing, and it's the amount of energy and water that it takes for like cooling systems and all this stuff. Well, and mining, that's a big one. Mining for all the resources that we need to build these chips. Mm-hmm. Well, what if we could grow the chips? So in Japan for the past couple of years, they've been working on growing quantum computer chips. So what we find is within the mycelial network, there are qubits already in them, qubit nodules, right, that already grow on mycelium And so if we can grow these mushrooms and the mycelium, then we could potentially grow our own quantum computer chips as opposed to having to mine for the materials, figure out the most efficient way, build them, and then ship them to the masses. What if I gave you a spore print and a little silicone pad that was in the right layout and you could grow it at home? Now, there's not as much money in that, so I don't think that that's exactly how they would be done. But I could send it to a company in your country, and they do it, right?
Well, and they can run electricity through this, chip that they've grown with
I think
mycelium?
electricity already does run through a mycological network.
That's exactly
like
right.
you can hook up electrodes to an entire mycology network of mushrooms that are growing on the ground, and it will sing to you because it has a different resonance that comes through in electrical form.
Yep. And electrical pulses, kind of
Yeah.
like how which is one of the reasons we
how our
integrate so
brain
much. That's how our brain works. That's how our muscles work. A lot of people just think of it with our brain, but it's how our brain talks to our hand or our hand talks to our foot. It's all through these electrical pulses. So that's exactly right. They already have that. It's built into pretty much every living thing that we know of currently.
So are they talking about giving a mushroom a mold to grow into sort of thing when they're talking about growing these qubits or these quantum qubits? They're giving it a mold and then that will fit in the computer? Or are they talking about growing an entire organism and then somehow figuring out how to use that organism?
Because these chips are tiny, right? So
Well,
if you're
most
making them,
microchips are, but I can definitely see the value in growing them because the amount of resources and energy it takes to mine everything, build it,
right.
and then it's all in a clean room, and then you have to maintain it, and then have you seen a picture of a quantum computer? The actual microchip is the size of your thumbnail, which is about 10,000 microchips on one plate, and then you've got about 10 feet of cooling system to go with it. The entire computer is a cooling system. The rest of it is smaller than the microchip in your phone.
Yeah. And here's another interesting thing, and then I'll jump back to that question. But like you said, it's entirely cooling for the chip, right? Well,
Yeah.
if it's grown by a network that already has qubits on it, then it's already
insulated and
it's insulated, it's efficient, it's ready to handle a high workload without lighting on fire or blowing up the building.
well,
It's a mushroom,
how does that compare to the amount of electricity that's running through a quantum computer and what the average electricity is flowing through a natural mushroom?
So that's a good question. And that I'd have to look into further. But I mean, if we look at just human beings, like we've got a lot of electricity going through us at a time. But if we compare that to large storage,
That's one microchip.
That's one quantum computer chip.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah.
It's like 1 millimeter maybe.
And I'm sure there's
it say how
lots
much
of
power
fine
is in that?
detail in that one. That one,
Does it say actually how big it is?
12 qubits. So look at that, 12 qubit quantum dots. Okay, so the quantum
300
dot-
millimeter,
300 millimeters?
fabricated on 300 millimeter wafers.
Oh, that's how thick it is.
That's what it's put onto.
So if
but
they-
it's only 12 qubits.
But if they grow it, are you then working with the dead mycelium? Because if it's alive, doesn't it have the potential to change its form?
That's fair.
So I think that alive is the best way. But that'll tie into what I'm talking about later.
Okay.
So we'll get to that. But just to point out, the 12 qubits, right? This thing, it's such a big deal. It's on the news. It's being talked about because of how powerful it is for how small it is. And they're putting it on this wafer for 12 qubits, quantum dots. Those are what are on these mycelial networks. There's qubit nodules all over them, right? And so in order to, instead of this 12 qubit piece being like unbelievable, we've got a network that can just grow more. And if we continue down the path that we're going right now, which is a fascination of mushrooms, kind of at least in the United States, if not worldwide, then we might be able to find ways to grow these much faster, much more efficiently, to be able to get more quantum dots per X amount of space of a mycelial network. And we wouldn't have to be digging up half the globe to do it.
I feel like we're going to be growing super mushrooms.
Yeah, growing super mushrooms.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you want a mushroom that instead of having to take lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi, maybe some psilocybin, whatever your thing is, one that just does it all?
Yeah. That would be
Isn't that what the whole pharmaceutical industry is about? Is that we want this miracle pill because that's what Americans want. Just give me the pill. I'll take it.
That's a fair side of it, but they want to treat the symptom. They don't want to solve the problem.
I agree with that.
Because solving the problem puts them out of business.
Yeah. And I'm not the biggest fan of the pharmaceutical industry. Let me make that very clear. But it was just to point out the fact that clearly this is what Americans want because that's how they market it. It's
an
we
easy
want
fix.
this. Yeah. Like, give me the lazy fix. Give me the pill. And let me handle it. It's a lot easier than, I know that these mushrooms that I grow are going to be more potent because I grew them and they're, still alive a little bit or whatever. They're just, give me the pill, do it for me. And instead of me growing 30 different strains, to be able to eat every day. That's a lot versus just taking a pill that'll do it all.
Man, so if you can grow the mushrooms into a chip, are they in a way programming the mushroom, or is the mushroom still very much its own life form in charge of what it's going to do? Or are we steering it at least? If not take charge of it, is it being steered? If we can grow it in this mold, is it a problem? Like you said, it's better in your opinion if it's alive. To me, I'm thinking, hey, if I can see how it could be good to grow it in a mold, but I can't see how it wouldn't be a danger of it changing form.
Well, it wouldn't be a very good computer if we couldn't tell it what to calculate, right?
Right.
So they're definitely, that is a key part, is yes, we are controlling it. And they're still in the development phase, right? They're still testing this out. Can we do this or not? But it's a couple years deep. They wouldn't continue with it if there weren't certain signs that were like, this is a good idea.
Yeah, but so assuming we can get it in its mold and
control.
Right. To keep it from changing form. How does please tie it in?
Yeah. So now we get to the third leg.
Yeah, I was going to say there's got to be a hybrid facet here to where, since mycelium or mycology is the closest thing to organic brain matter or artificial brain matter, why wouldn't they use that to house an AI brain, if you will,
as the computer,
as a synthetic brain?
Yeah.
Which I think they're doing that with human brain cells already, aren't they? Using human brain cells for their computing power.
I have not seen anything about that. That to me gets into ethical questionability.
They've got to be doing that in Antarctica somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure that somebody's testing it. And actually, on one last point on the mushroom piece before I jump to the third leg of this tripod, if we look at mushrooms, right? Certain mushrooms, let's say that these mushrooms, these two mushrooms, I have one on the left, one on the right, if these two, their mycelial networks have not touched, let's say that they have both fended off diseases that the other one had not. Let's say 3 on each side, okay? The moment that their mycelial network touch, conjoin, and join together, now both mushrooms are immune to all 6 diseases because the other mushroom has, or one of them has fought off 3 diseases successfully and made it through. So it figured out how to become immune before it died.
Genetic information is shared with the other one.
Correct.
How quickly does that happen? Do you know?
Instant.
Is this our entanglement?
This is just the mushrooms, just a fact about mushrooms.
So I guess that's their form of it's the internet for them. They're sharing everything. All the information is crossing over the minute they get connected.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that is correct. And with immunity, that's really interesting, and we'll talk about that later. Because again, that was just a touch on that second tripod leg. Now the third tripod leg, and let me ask you guys first. What do you think the next evolution of human should be, or needs to be, or might be coming?
I think we're gonna start becoming more machine or more synthetic or more manufactured to elongate the life expectancy of humans. I mean, eventually there'll be artificial organs, if not more, I should say. Potentially, I've said that eventually cyborgs and humans, eventually the line will blur so much that it'll be hard to tell the difference between an artificial intelligence and human intelligence. But I think that's where we're headed.
I think we're heading toward people more psychics, if you will. All the research and the remote viewing and that sort of thing. I think where we're heading toward is learning how to use abilities that are dormant in most of us right now, but are there. You know, a better understanding that whatever that is that connects us and makes it so you think about somebody right before they call or right before they come through the door. You know, the psychic connection that some people seem to be able to use allegedly. I think that's where our evolution's heading, using our brains in ways that we can't now.
That's a really fascinating piece that'll tie in very well in a bit. That's really fascinating. I hadn't thought about that type of thing. Yeah, and fascinating. And partly just because I'm not sold. I don't disbelieve. I don't believe with like psychics and stuff like that. Maybe they exist. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not psychic, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So that one's an open field, but that's really interesting, and that'll tie in very well. So, and how do you think we're gonna get to that level? Through AI? Is that what you're saying?
Potentially. I think through us learning and open our minds to things that, you know, are already out there. Like if you look at what people say about remote viewing, it involves a whole lot of meditation. So it involves a lot of looking inward. So I think it's like abilities that we already have. I've heard the thing forever about, you know, we're not using most of our brain most of the time. We're using just a portion of it. So I think it will come down to us learning how to just become more in tune with our own abilities. AI, I think, will definitely help, as it just helps us advance faster.
Yeah. So my understanding of the science on that, by the way, is that that's basically a myth. That's been disproven, is that we only use, a certain percentage of our brain. We use 100% of our brain.
Just not all at once.
Just not all at once. It's
Right.
different portions, and that's for us to survive. So if I had to think about breathing all the time, think about how much of my consciousness that would take up
Well,
instead
no,
of doing
course.
other things.
Of
right?
course, but I think there's like what we kind of mentioned earlier of the study that they showed where exposing humans to a certain sound at the 110 hertz changes your brain activity, allows you to switch into brain activity that is something that psilocybin mushrooms can also induce a different form of brain activity. You're not thinking like you normally are. It's not the same activity that you have when you're driving down the road. So what I'm saying is, I think us learning how to engage that intentionally without needing the catalyst of mushrooms or, hey, this sound or this frequency switches this on for me, of us figuring out how to do that when we want to.
Okay. So you think that this will just be normal evolutionary chain, take a while, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I think we'll learn to improve it like a skill.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Love it. So let's talk about this third leg.
Okay.
And then we can go full blast and grow. So the third leg, let's take a look at things like Neuralink. Okay. So you guys both know what Neuralink is, right?
Yeah.
Elon Musk's brain chip. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And currently it's allowing, and it might even, I do hear that there was an update to it. So the last I checked, it allows, quadriplegics or whatever to, using their mind, just think about something on a computer screen and it'll do it. Right. I don't have to type. There's no arms. It's just instant. I got to think about it. It's done. Okay.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of potential there. So if I can be instantly connected to an AI, just in general, just ChatGPT, instead of even having to type something in, if I have a thought, I can get an answer. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And that's eventually what sounds like he's trying to make.
That's a logical conclusion to that technology, and fits your cyborg evolution.
Yeah.
Your what?
Cyborg evolution.
Cyborg
Yeah.
evolution.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that makes, like you said, just makes sense to
Right.
go that route. Like, let's make us better than what we are. That's kind of, and not using different verbiage, but that's kind of what he's trying to do with the quadriplegics. They can't use their arms, so let's make them into something else that can bypass that. Right now, they are still them, right? But they have this extra tool or resource built into their mind that is now integrated that can help them do so much more, right? So it's growing as a human.
So why not make them a new body? Or modify the body to where you can send those electrical impulses to the muscles and control the body
Through the same chip. Yeah.
through the same chip.
There's various different reasons why people might be quadriplegic. There might be a rupture in their spine, which is blocking the essential cable, right?
Yeah, but just
Right,
make them
but-
a robot. Make them robot legs.
So put it on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Put it on Wi-Fi.
Or and yeah, then just you still use or Bluetooth, and then still use the chip in the mind to
Theoretically
move.
speaking, I think it's all there. Is it an engineering problem or an ethical problem at this point?
Well, that's where that technology is moving, right? If you have the chip if the chip is functional and they don't have any issues with it and it doesn't lead to any problems, then eventually you make a mechanical arm that's Bluetooth connected to the chip, I would imagine.
So,
Or an actuator in the muscle.
Yeah.
so a connection to the arm, cyborg arm, they already have that. We've tested it on monkeys. We've made it work for 5 years at least. But that's already there. We can do that. And so, yes, that is a possibility. But for somebody that has all their body parts, that would mean we have to cut off their body part to replace it. And not everyone's going to jump for joy at that idea.
I'm not saying replace the body part. I'm saying put another implant into each specific muscle so that they could curl their arm or use their fingertips. And through that Neuralink, they would send that signal wirelessly or create a connection in a new implant of sorts to communicate with said muscle to where it was on the subconscious level, to where it was similar to how they moved before they were quadriplegic.
My brain's going crazy trying to think of all the different ways you're gonna tell me that we could use tie in the mushrooms with people. I'm already imagining, the mushrooms being integrated in the body to make a new nerve network, or my mind's going crazy with ideas here.
Yeah, well, there's some cool stuff, and I know that Neuralink gets a lot of heat. IBM's been doing this with it. I forget the company name, but they've been doing this for like 20 years, where they are implanting people, but it's just way less technologically advanced.
When I think of the body part replacements, limb replacements that I've seen, it's not very George Jetson-y. It's like the leg one that they have that's pretty advanced and people can run really fast with it, but it's not your sci-fi movie leg, really. It's very smart design, don't get me wrong, but it's not what you think of when you think of technological future.
Yeah. So. And I think we are that is a potential go in the future, but I do think that one, there's some ethical pieces. Two, because already just the Neuralink, I mean, there was a lot of ethical questions about that, and people were up in arms. But I look at it kind of like cigarettes, make it available, and the people that want them will do it, and the people that don't won't. You don't have to smoke cigarettes. Right. Don't smoke cigarettes. You don't have to drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. Don't drink alcohol. I can be around it. It's not going to faze me. Just don't do it.
Well, and something like that, something that it might be risky, but if it poses a really big chance to have a really good impact on someone's life, I think people should have the right to give it a shot. If I lost all ability to use all my limbs and they were like, hey, we could give you this chip in your head, it might make it so you can move your limbs again, I'd say, hey, go ahead, go for it.
Yeah, even if there was a possibility that it would fuck me up even more.
I'm not having a good time.
I'm not having a great time already. Yeah. So
yeah. That's very fair. That's very fair. And I think that that's another reason as to why not just allow the limbs to be, reconnected in different ways. Well, that would be a lot of different connections that you'd have to figure out just right for them and connect into all these different spots where I can control a computer. I know how that works, right? That's a lot easier than to connect to each individual piece. There's a lot more research and potential surgical stuff going on. So it's much easier just to let me do this chip instead of doing every single motion for every single thing. And now I got to look at every nerve ending. And
what if they use mycology to regrow the broken spinal column?
So that's interesting around. I think stem cells would be the better answer there. For most scenarios, not all, but I think stem cells would be a better route. But stem cells have all sorts of, fight back, push back on from people, which I think is unfortunate because I think it can help a lot more people if we weren't so against it. We are allowing it to some extent, but we could be so much further with it.
Well, I think that's big pharma pushing back.
Yeah. Don't
'Cause
regrow
it's
it.
a
We'll
so-
give you pain pills
It's a
for
solution
it
instead of a Band-Aid.
No, that's very fair.
Yeah,
That's very fair.
it's probably a big reason why that's as controversial as it is. Anything that offers real solutions, we can't have.
No.
So, it's not good for the economy.
Not good. Yeah. Yeah, neither is world peace, which I'll get to. But we agree that there are some really positive possibilities, right, with things like the Neuralink and stuff like that.
Yeah, agreed.
So, what are some of the biggest fears with Neuralink, with us at mass
With Neuralink?
scale,
That it will
or something like that?
That
It,
it-
it will
doesn't have
control the people instead of the people controlling the chip.
Bingo.
That's fair. I think making the people more powerful than average containment systems could handle.
Average containment
So
systems. What
let's
do you
say
mean by
there's
that?
security measures to keep you out of a bank vault. If Neuralink, like eventually you had body modifications like a exosuit or something, it would give you the ability to operate said exosuit and break into current security systems, like turn you into a superhero, and then you would have free reign over everything, and potentially not everybody would have the same moral values.
Yeah, I mean, imagine we all know the story of the Killdozer guy up in Granby.
Oh yeah.
Let's imagine
the bulldozer thing.
A Neuralink version of that. Somebody, Neuralink connected to something else. That could be a real dangerous scenario.
Well, how would Neuralink control somebody else? It's not an AI, is it? It's just basically a Wi-Fi for the brain.
Well,
Well,
he's
the
not
way-
saying control somebody else. He's
No,
saying
it's controlling them, the person who has the chip in their head.
Right,
And,
that's what I mean.
yes.
Well, the way I see it as controlling is hey, if we figured out how we put this piece of hardware
Or
in your brain,
the
and
administrator controlling the person, rather.
whoever
Whoever
yeah.
implanted the chip could potentially control the person.
Right, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest fear. And I think that is a very valid fear. Very valid. And it's one of my concerns with this route that I'm about to talk about. That I do think is the right route, but I think it has to be done right. And one of the big fears is who's putting out these Neuralink chips, or just any IBM, all these massive corporations that are potentially trying to control the masses.
What do you
know?
mean? IBM would never do or work with anyone who would want to try to control the masses.
Never.
Not IBM.
Not IBM.
No.
But I mean, we just look at this, and it's the controlling elite. They all want control of quantum computing and all this stuff, and AI first, and our AI is going to be better. And so it is a vie for control. And so there's a very real worry that with the implants, I can control you guys. Once I get it into masses, then I'll flip on the switch that controls it so that I control you. And I think that is a really, really valid fear. Now, how would we combat that? Ties into something I brought up earlier. I think it was the
Mushrooms.
first leg. What?
Mushrooms.
First leg.
No.
First leg.
Qubits.
Yep. Qubits and quantum computing. So entanglement, right? That could, and quantum computing in general, could potentially keep us from being able to hack or control that person. Now, there might still be ways, but currently, just like I talked about, currently with our understanding and theories, there wouldn't be a way to hack a quantum computer. And so if we have a quantum computer chip in our head, then in theory, it should not be hackable and should not be controllable, right?
You wouldn't need to go to math class anymore.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to go to math class anymore. That's big facts.
Now, but where is this the quantum computer chip? is it not tied into a larger network? I imagine if some company is putting these things out, they're going to have some network that all of their chips
They're
are tied
going to want to
in.
update the chip all the fucking time.
Yeah, they got to look out for the company. So how would it just being a quantum chip protect you from the influence of the company?
So that's a good question. I may not have the greatest answer for this, and you gotta remember a lot of this stuff early stages.
Sure.
A lot of this is still theory. We're testing it. We're close to a lot of these things, but I would think that that they would do their best to try and do something like that. However,
I would almost think it's got to be that you can't be tied into a network.
So I think that they would be able to tie into each other, kind of like the internet works. So the internet isn't run by one corporation, right? It is there.
It's
right?
an entity. It's its own
It's
living,
its own
breathing
thing.
organism by
Yep.
now. Yeah.
And then that's exactly how I would think of this network that we're talking about, right?
So would that theoretically give all individuals, in your view, and just how you're thinking of it, the ability to unplug from the network? So, still have your chip in, but I'm going to disconnect from the network. So now I don't have the benefits of any of the knowledge or information that I could access through the network, but also I can't be accessed through the network. In how you're envisioning it, I'm wondering, would that be possible?
I think we're talking about the movie Johnny Mnemonic now.
I guess in theory that might be possible because it's kind of like a limb. Like I may be able to use it, but I don't have to use it.
If
can
I'm thinking
limb
if everybody
hang all
with the
time.
chips is making up a new form of almost like internet, and like you said, the internet is not run by any one company. It's everybody. I have this server that's pumping this out, and I connected it to the infrastructure, and now my site that's being hosted is on the internet because I've done all of this. So if the hardware and the infrastructure is the chip, then shouldn't the individual have the ability to
Disconnect rather than stay connected?
right? Because I would think if you don't have the ability to get off the network, then that's where it's the dangerous scenario, right?
So I think that just boils down to what we end up seeing with Neuralink. As at its current stages, and this will be very different in the stages that I'm referring to. But if we look at it currently, I don't have to tell the cursor to move and click on this thing or type out this thing, and then it's just not being used, right? So kind of like a limb. It's a tool. I don't have to use it, but I can. But I think there's a potential for further integration that might make it more like breathing. Like, go ahead and stop breathing. You'll end up breathing. Like it's something you have to do. It's something that's part of you. It's integrated. But let's now
Okay, here it all comes together.
join the three.
Bring it all together. Yes.
Join the three legs of this tripod. So we've gone over quantum computing, including quantum entanglement, qubits, all that. We've gone over the mushrooms and all the various benefits that they can have with us, with connections, the mycelial network, immunity, immunity for each other, all sorts of stuff. Huge web. And we've gone over Neuralink and the potentials there, both good and bad, right? So my view for world peace, but I do actually think that this would lead to world peace if this is done right. So if we can grow these mushrooms and we can choose certain mushrooms, because it's through the mycelial network. All mushrooms have mycelial network, to my knowledge, at least. And now I'm not an expert on mushrooms, but my understanding is they all have a mycelial network or can have a mycelial network. So if we're growing these mushrooms, then we should be able to pick the types of mushrooms and or the benefits if we can hybridize different mushrooms or whatever. Now, we've talked about how mushrooms can benefit us with cognition and lower brain fog and help with our not only gain new connections and potentially perspective, but also basically just be more efficient human beings. So better versions of us, right? Now, how we're currently doing it is we're ingesting it, right? And then we talked about the implants. So if we're growing these implants and we make it so that they have the functionality, because in my eyes, from my understanding, psilocybin mushrooms, they give you empathy. Ego death and empathy are the two big things that you see all over the place, right? So if we have that integrated with better memory and sharper or more ability for neuroplasticity, which is the ability to create new neural pathways within your head, then, I mean, that's a game changer for us. But if we can have more empathy for each other, kill our ego, then that's going to change a lot for a lot of people. And we can have it in such a small way, implanted in our brain. We shouldn't need a lot, that we're not just walking around tripping all the time, right? But we can have that empathetic piece and all the positive sides, better immune, the whole 9 yards. And if we can connect via, like what I was talking about, is a connection layer like the internet, but with amongst people, right? So almost like a hive mind that you can tap into. So now, if I've got these mushrooms that I'm growing these quantum chips in, and instead of putting all these little threads in my brain, I can take a pill, and this pill will grow this mushroom chip inside of my head. Or maybe it still has to be implanted. That's fine. Currently, if there's a chip update, you got to reopen your head and get a new chip in. Well, if there's this network, like I said, like the internet to connect us, then kind of like those mushrooms that where the left and right one both had 3 diseases that they both fought off, and now they're immune to all 3. Well, if I connect to this internet type thing and say, well, this will be more beneficial, more efficient, well, the mushroom will just do that within our head. It'll grow those pathways.
Instant update.
It's an update.
It would seem to me that unless it's a surgical implant, the only way to do that, which I love the idea of, it's fascinating, but it would have to be to grow an internal mycelium network, and for us to just figure out a way to better engineer. Which I'm sure there's already a mycelium network living in every single one of us. There's different funguses and that sort of things living inside. But to figure out a way to either add another mycelium network with this, the ones that have been molded with this chip, it would have to be throughout the body. I'm thinking it couldn't just be in one spot unless it's being surgically put in, if it's growing, right?
So I think it could be surgically put in. There might be a different way. Like I said, take a pill. That's like the eventuality hope. But I think surgical implant would probably be the original way of going about this, because that's how we've been doing it with IBM for 20 years and Elon Musk with his Neuralink is surgical. That's the way we know how to do it currently. And we want it tied into the brain. Not everything can go up there and pass the blood-brain barrier and all this stuff if you swallowed it. So currently it's looking like, you would have to do that. But in order to integrate with the whole body, your brain integrates with the whole body.
Through your nerves.
Through your nerves, but the electrical pulses like we were talking about before. And so if we can figure out how to get this mushroom chip to essentially grow into us, be a part of us, right? Then now this quantum computing capability and potential quantum AI integrated is part of us, right? And we didn't talk about one of the biggest fears with AI, right? It's potentially about it destroying us or deciding we're bad for the planet or like whatever, right? But if we are in it, us and them are the same, why would it want to do that? It wouldn't make any sense. It would want us to benefit because it will benefit. And so it knocks out the fear side of this, right? And mushrooms, what are they good at? They're good at improving efficiencies. If we look at it at the base level, right? And different efficiencies based on the mushroom, right? But they're good at improving efficiencies. And so it'll make, if it's integrated with us, it's going to make more efficient neural pathways, which could lead to larger memory storage. It could lead to
if we could get the benefit, like you were talking about, of
immunity.
The immunity, that would be incredible. If you could just, if I have the quantum mycelium network in me and you have it in you, and we come in contact with each other, and just by shaking hands, I now get all your immunity and you get all mine. That would be it would be the beginning of a golden age.
I totally agree. And I think that having a network like the internet, but not the internet, where we could all connect, kind of like that hive mind-ish thing that you can or cannot be connected to, is phenomenal. Because now if you fought off this disease that no one's seen before, because it's been in the ice since the Ice Age, right? And none of our current people have fought it off. Well, if you successfully fought it off, then, and we're connected via this potential hive mind thing, everyone becomes immune immediately. Because
what about allergies? So what about negative genetic information or abnormalities or
a virus?
Does it share everything? There's no way it just shares
the good.
Only the positive.
You're right. It would share the negative too. And just like what we were talking about with psychedelic mushrooms, right? It builds empathy. It makes you feel more with the people that are around you, right? So you can feel what they're actually feeling when you're having a conversation more than you otherwise would. And so if you're feeling happy on the other side of the planet, I could feel that at the same time that you are. But if someone's getting bombed, right, I'm going to feel that too.
Right.
And so why would I want to bomb you if that's going to hurt me as well? And I'm going to feel what it's like to be bombed. And I'll feel what it's like to live in fear of bombs by the kids or the other family members in the area or just community at large.
It'd be the end of serial killers.
It'd be the end of
because
serial killers.
they say that all serial killers that they've had a chance to study lacked the ability for empathy.
It would give them that empathy because they would feel it through other people's eyes.
Yeah, because they couldn't feel the fear that somebody else would feel or whatever was going on.
Well, it can't just make everyone feel everything everyone else feels all at once. I mean, that sounds like...
That's what a hive mind kind of is.
Could people handle feeling everything everyone else feels all at once?
What if we all had a bad day on the same day?
Wouldn't it all be
the world
overwhelming?
would end. Someone's clicking the button.
I think that's one of the benefits of having a support group is that we don't all have a bad day on the same day.
How can you focus on anything if you've got to feel everything everyone feels all at once? How can you drive down the highway?
And I think that just goes back to the internet analogy to this hive mind type.
You got to be able to just
tap into it when you want.
Yeah, is being able to, for the hive mind piece, being able to tap into it when you want. But if I chose to, let's say I'm the guy pulling the trigger and I decided to bomb this place, I'm going to disconnect, of course, because I don't want to feel that. But what's going to happen after that? I probably can never reconnect again, because all of the fallout and all of the community at large is going to feel that way for a long time, and some much longer than others. And so by choosing to pull the trigger, I literally cannot reconnect, or I will feel all of the pain that I caused. And so it's still a massive deterrent. It's kind of like mutually assured destruction, right? If Russia nukes us, well, all our missiles are already set in a system to go off automatically and launch at them. And that's mutually assured destruction because it would create a nuclear cloud and nuclear winter, and basically not all, but it would be a near extinction for humanity. Almost all life on the planet would die. And so no one wants to do it. No one wants to pull that trigger. Kind of a similar type of thing. And everyone that is in the hive is going to feel what those people went through. So who are they not going to be a fan of?
Yeah, whoever committed it, yeah.
Whoever pulled the trigger. So even with the capability of disconnecting, just in case, I'm driving.
Sounds a bit like a Black
focused.
Mirror, that Black Mirror episode, though, where everybody's like basically streaming live through their eyes, and if you got canceled, all of a sudden or different people, if they unfriended you, they just became static. Where everyone was sort of tied in.
Yeah.
And I think it could be really good, but I can't. I could also see how it could be definitely used to control people if we were that connected.
So I think that very quickly that wouldn't be a problem. And I think it's because very quickly we'll start to look at what's good for the group versus just me. And I think that would happen like that. And if that's the case, then I'm also not going to want to cancel people for no reason, because I've felt the emotions that they've gone through. I've felt what somebody else across the world might be going through a similar situation is feeling during those moments. And so quickly I'm gonna understand faster and more than I ever could have before.
Well, so let's assume everyone's connected in this network. In order to feel and let's say someone has done something that might make others want to cancel them out of the network. In order to feel what they felt that led to that, you've got to be able to focus on an individual. You can't be feeling everything from everyone or from a larger group. You've got to be able to focus on that individual. And so just in that act in itself, wouldn't it still be a world in which the only way people would know what any one person is doing or feeling is if they focus their attention there, if they choose to look?
So kind of like the internet. You gotta
like
pull up the
YouTube's
website.
there, but it's not there right now until I pull it up.
So I actually don't think so. And that goes back to like the immunity thing, right? With the mushrooms. When the mushrooms mycelial network connects, they get both the good and bad from both sides instantly. It's not like, in 14 days, I'll be immune to the diseases this thing's fought off. It is instant. I am immune. And so instantly I'll be able to feel all those things. But also, like I had mentioned, AI, right? If I have a quantum AI,
You could process faster.
yep, there you
Okay.
go. It has its own processing capabilities. So I can use it to process stuff sometimes while I can do whatever else. And our brains have been likened to, ironically enough, or maybe quantum computer chips have been likened, but usually it's brains, have been likened to quantum chips. We have a quantum computer in our head at all times. And so we already have capabilities beyond what we can think currently. It's just understanding how to utilize those learning other things that will help us along that journey to become better human beings, right? We're all trying to grow, become better people. Or at least most of us are. I hope everyone is. I know that's a little not totally likely, but I hope we are. And I think that the pursuit of growth would outweigh anything else, really. And I think that the mushrooms would be able to work with us with that. And again, like I said, I mean, really just developing the symbiotic relationship in a whole new way, where right now we're eating the mushrooms, us, and quantum AI chips are all one. And so it's a symbiotic future that I see, symbiotic relationship between the three, where we become a human mushroom quantum AI hybrid. And I think that will do world peace, because I won't want to bomb you. I think that it'll create herd immunity all over the globe instantaneously. Assuming that there's not a disease that no one can fight off in no one's body. But then we also have the quantum computing capabilities. So we might be able to synthesize a way and run all these models just in our head at a whim. Tell me which way is the right path. Great. And it's going to choose the path that is, it's going to err on the side of caution, most likely, because it's going to protect itself. Well, we are itself at this point. And so instead of worrying about, well, they might want to wipe out humanity, they are humanity at that point. And so we don't have that concern anymore. So it really obliterates most concerns. Yeah.
The mycelium network and the brain cell network, just visually, they definitely
Which
look
one's which? I can't tell.
right. So the one in the blue on the left is a brain cell network, and on the right is the mycelium network.
There's almost more connections in the mycelium than there is the brain. Well, I guess it depends upon the magnification, but
Yeah, well, and up here on the big screen, you can't. A lot of it's blurred, but there's a whole lot of connections there. There are lots and lots of little lines tangling, but they look very, very similar.
what's the science behind the ingestion of mushrooms, and how do we incorporate that greater efficiency into our brain function? Like, how is our brain, or how's our body transmute that into like the physical properties, turning it into an upgrade, more or less?
Right. And I think that that's kind of like, if we look at psilocybin, right? We say it's these mushrooms, but we know that the psilocybin is what's doing it, right? It's chemical in nature to some extent. And so I think that we would be able to imbue whatever mushrooms we end up having grow these chips with these different properties or chemicals, and we make it so that they can grow these chemicals, right? Just like they do naturally from different ones. So we have to create this hybrid that can do these things, right? And let that integrate with us by itself. You know, an implant, because I think that would be the first evolution of this, would be the implant, because we've been doing it, is if you implant it in the brain, just like you had said, that thing looked more efficient. It looked like it had more connections. And a really fascinating study that kind of points to this is in Japan, another Japan one. In Japan, a while ago now, they were studying if a fungal network could do something more efficiently than humans. So Japan has all this public transit, including like bullet trains and all sorts of stuff. And they spent a ton of time trying to figure out the most efficient paths. So they put these oats on a board, right? And this fungal network likes oats. So it went out and it went, touched all the oats, came back to the center, and then resent out stuff.
Isn't that the sponge mold or something?
Yeah, and it was like a sponge mold. I don't know if it was, but it's something
I've
similar.
seen videos of, like how it's the most efficient it's more efficient than a computer because somehow it remembers where it went and what it did, and it's somehow remembers all the neural pathways to get to the food source.
And it calculates it, because you got to think, you're calculating what would be the most efficient route. It's just going out and touching it separately. It's not redoing its arms each time. It's just saying, okay, I know that these are here. This is definitely the most efficient pathway. And that kind of goes back to the qubit nodules on them and everything. But it redesigned their entire public transit system. And I forget how fast it was, but it was really fast in a more efficient way than humans have ever been able to figure out for it. And so if we start integrating these things with us, it's going to find more efficient ways. If we become one with it and give it access to every piece of us, as opposed to our stomach acid breaking down everything except the chemicals that our body wants from it, or taking pills just from the chemicals that we know do this or this. If it's integrated, it's going to view us just like it views itself. And so it's going to look for the most efficient pathways, the most efficient solutions, the most efficient ways to become better and grow and expand. And that touches every piece of life itself, for us, at least.
Well, I think all the best innovations have typically come from people taking inspiration and a greater understanding of nature and incorporating the designs already laid out in nature for ourselves. But when the Last of Us mushroom zombies come for us, we'll know who to blame.
Yeah, it would be me.
Yes.
I would blame. Yeah, blame me.
They just had to fix the public transportation.
Those bastards.
It started it all.
No, I really think that this could be, but it has to be done right. Otherwise, we're implanting people with chips that are made by certain companies that are totally hackable, that get software updates that we choose, and it could be not ideal if we don't have this integration with mushrooms and quantum AI. Quantum is very critical. And I think the AI piece is critical too, because that hive mind, like you said, that's a lot of information to take in at once. We're going to need something else to help us with that. Now, remember, we do have a quantum computer in our head, essentially. So we've already got that. Mycelial networks have the qubits that grow on them. So it's expanding the quantum capabilities by being part of us. And if someone's going to try and do a software update that's, let's say, right, that's not beneficial for us, well, the mushroom's going to reject it because it's not an efficient pathway to success. So it doesn't make sense for it because it would harm it and us and the AI. So all around, it would just reject it. It doesn't make sense. And what they do is find efficient pathways, create more empathy, higher memory, higher learning, all sorts of stuff, higher immunity. And having that instant connection is just an unbelievable superpower that could take us to the next galaxy and beyond in no time.
Yeah, let's get all of Congress on that psilocybin mycelium network.
Let's do it.
That'll do us all a favor.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say, Taylor, before we go to slams?
No, is it that late?
Yeah.
It's that time.
I got caught in conversation. Shit.
It was good.
I love it. It was really enlightening. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I could talk about this forever.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on the show again.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, you can make donations now to support our podcast on PayPal at Denver Theory Lab. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or you can email us at denvertheorylab@gmail.com. Give us questions, comments, suggestions. If you want to disprove any of our theories or talk smack, feel free to message us at denvertheorylab@gmail.com.
Send us cool stuff to look into.